Diesel Fool with the People News. So, last couple of videos. This is the sheriff. Alright, before we go any further, I'm not an attorney, don't care to be an attorney. Always remember, never look straight forward. Always look around you, for the outside forces want to commit harm upon you. Always remember to film the cops. In case in point, this case here. Alright? Never give them any leeway, because just the same as you don't know a stranger, all officers are strangers to you unless you 100% know them. And even if you 100% know them, don't fully trust them when they're in uniform. Alright, y'all. This guy right here, in the last couple of videos, I talked about how evil. And it's going to give you an example of how good he is. Now, this happened a couple of years ago, y'all. So, him to be so defiant on this, he either had to, he either has a really good memory, or he rehearsed just about everything. He knows exactly to look to the jury. Always kind of keep an eye on his nose. It twitches. Alright? And his kind of eye twitches a little bit. And he listens to the question, looks at the attorney, but he knows automatically look right at the jury. And in my past videos, like I said, he's about the nicest guy by him talking to you. I just want to give full disclosure. My opinions is still opinions based off of what I seen, not what the jury's seen or anything like that. Okay. From these videos that you guys are seeing tonight, the jury is going to be at least until tomorrow. So they didn't finish up on the jury, but the court's over and the jury's in session. So we'll figure out how long the jury lasts. But let me kind of give you a case in point how nice this guy is and how really good he is.
Right. Yes, sir. So I don't work for Axon. I'm not an Axon body camera technician, so all I can testify to is the facts of what took place in that particular incident, where it appeared to experience what we were told in our training as a reset function, and the body camera was unable to start recording. And as soon as it got to a spot to where the camera was rebooted and I could restart the video, I did that as soon as possible.
And it so happened that missed the part where you would have first gotten into the car and had a chance to see the syringe in the baggie. Is that right?
Can you repeat that?
And it so happened that error occurred at the time that you would have first gotten in that car and first had the opportunity to see the syringe and the baggie. Isn't that right?
I would disagree with that.
That's not when the error occurred?
I would disagree with that.
Then why isn't it on the video?
Mr. Williams, I've explained this to you 3 or 4 times now as far as why that is not on the video.
You said it was because of an error. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And the error occurred at the time that otherwise your body camera, you're saying, would have shown you go into that car and see that item for the first time. That's when that error occurred. Is there some reason you will not answer that to the jury?
The body camera error occurred as soon as the traffic stop was initiated.
Okay.
You know what?
Let's move on.
Okay, great.
Let's move on. Mr. Williams is one that we don't have one on, and you're saying that it was deleted from the server, and that's why we don't have one at all. Is that right?
Yep, and I just want to be clear so the jury understands. By no means am I saying that someone deleted that video with some ill intent. What I am testifying to is that it was common for the body cameras, once there was a certain threshold within the server, for the body camera videos to be deleted. By no means am I saying it was deleted with ill intent.
Why would they have deleted if someone did? Would it have been?
So, I mean, look at this. It just sounds like he's got first-hand knowledge of the fact of everything in the back doors. And he is smooth, y'all. He is really smooth on this. He sounds like an attorney.
Somebody, a person, a staff member who would have done that?
Well, it would have had to have been a staff
Okay.
member.
Why would someone have deleted, in this instance, let's talk about Reginald Williams. That's what we're talking about.
Sure.
In that one, that clearly pertained to an arrest, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Why in the world would that have been deleted?
I wish I knew that answer.
If you want other people's tax dollars to buy you a new, state-of-the-art solar power system and pay your monthly bills, make sure you...
Sorry, I had
You
to
didn't
do
take any
this
photographs on that department-issued
cheap way.
camera, did you?
I did.
And we don't have those for the case file for Mr. Williams, do we?
If it's not been provided, I would assume not.
You mentioned that the meth in the lunchbox was in a hidden compartment. Is that right?
That is correct.
Did you photograph that hidden compartment? That sounds unique. I wasn't there, but based
Sure.
on your description, that sounds unique.
I did not photograph the hidden compartment, no.
Mr. Williams said he was going to work. Do you dispute that?
I don't dispute that whatsoever.
Yeah, after all, he had his lunchbox, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
And Mrs. Laster, who was with him, says that she tried to videotape this on her phone, record it on her phone. You told her to put it away. You dispute that?
I dispute that 100%.
But we don't have a video from your camera either.
Alright. I had to say, why wouldn't she record it? Right? So he can dispute it, but with the videos I've seen before, I had to go under the suspicion that the victim was trying to actually record him, and he did say she couldn't do it. So yeah, no, I don't believe it. But again, argument's sake, if he's telling a lie and dispute this, look how clear his tone is. But always look at his nose.
That is correct.
Neither one of you have any video evidence of that stop. All we have is your report and what they say. Is that right?
Yes.
For Mr. Van, he actually consented to the search before you ever even asked. Is that right?
He did, yes.
He told you about his criminal history.
Yes, he
He
did.
told you what he'd been in prison for.
Yes, sir.
For meth. He told it to you. You didn't really have to push him on it, did he?
I did not.
Okay. And that video starts when it does, the one that we saw. Do you dispute that? I mean, that's an accurate video?
That is an accurate video, yeah.
Okay, and it starts when you're on the passenger side, having already been in the driver's side. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Why is that?
For this particular case, I don't recall if I experienced an issue like I experienced in the Emmanuel traffic stop.
From our standpoint with the video,
He recalls a lot of things, but he don't recall this one particular incident. Okay.
it appears to be the same as the Emmanuel stop, doesn't it?
That could be your opinion, sure.
Well, the video starts and you're at the passenger side, aren't you?
I am. Yes.
Having already been at the driver's side.
Correct.
And we see on the van video that when you're searching the passenger side and you reach into that center console, over that door that opens out towards you, that's when you allegedly find that black baggie of meth. Is that right?
That is when I found the black baggie of meth, correct.
You didn't find it when you were around on the driver's side and that door was open, face further away from you.
Correct. I did not remove the documents from that center console to search the center console on the driver's side.
Now look at him. He literally looks at the jury, and again, it's not factual evidence, but each and every time the judge talks to him or the attorney, he looks at the attorney. But when he talks back to the attorney, it's away from the attorney to the jury.
At Panera, we make dinner easy and
It would have certainly been more accessible on that side, given the way that that console opened, right?
I'm 6'5". I have a long reach. So for someone else, sure, they might be able to answer yes to that question, but I would disagree.
Would it be harder for you on the driver's side?
Would it be harder on the
Would it have
driver's
been
side?
harder for you to have gone through the console on the driver's side?
No, sir.
Okay. And then you agree with the way that the Mr.
I had to disagree with that one, y'all. He's a big boy. That steering wheel is going to be in his way. It would be actually a little harder. Now, would it be just god awful hard? No. But it would be harder. I've been in the console of my own vehicle, and it is easier on the passenger side, even for me, and I'm a little guy. So I had to disagree with that.
van, and the video shows the door opens towards the front seat passenger,
Yes, it does.
leaving the console visible from that driver's seat.
That is correct.
Okay. But you didn't take those papers out until you were on the other side, until that lid was opened, blocking any other view from the inside to the inside of that console. Isn't that right? That's when you chose to take those papers out and go through them, right?
During my search, I did take the papers out of the center console when I was on the passenger side of the vehicle.
I'm
That is
asking about
correct.
the timing. The first time you tried to do it, the first time was on the passenger side, right?
Correct, yes.
After it was already open and you had already been at that area on the driver's side.
Mr. Van left the center console open, so yes.
He had it opened? And he consented to the search?
He had it open from whenever he retrieved his documentation for the vehicle.
Okay, so he's consented to the search and he left it open. Isn't that right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Why, based on your training experience, why would he have consented to a search before you ever even asked about it and then left a console open if he knew methamphetamine was in there? If he had been riding around, like you say, with a known narcotic target or let's just say a user, why would he have done that?
Unfortunately, most people don't understand that you have a constitutional right to deny consent to a search of the vehicle.
Well, he certainly would. He'd gone through the system and been to prison before. So I think if anybody understands it, it'd be him, right?
Well, I didn't know Mr. Van, so I wouldn't be able to speak to that, sir.
Well, let's take a step back. I think that may not be right.
Alright, we're going to pause right there. That officer is actually 100% correct on this. I mean, he plain out told the jury. Unfortunately, most people gives us consent. And yes, they really do.
You know that he has a criminal history, correct?
Sure.
That means he's been through this court system in some form, correct?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, relatively recently, because he had gotten out of prison shortly before this.
I believe like a month before. Yeah.
Okay. So he's somebody that you can reasonably infer understands that he has rights. He told you, for instance, I know what you're trying to do when you say you smell meth, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so he's somebody who clearly is a little bit more informed than, let's say, Josh Emanuel. Is that fair?
I would agree with that, yes.
Okay. Why would Mr. Van, before you've ever asked about a search, agree to a search and get out of the car and leave that console door open if he had meth in there? Why would that have happened?
I don't believe I can offer an accurate explanation to the jury
Okay.
based on that I wasn't in Mr. Van's head at the time.
Okay. You were in yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He was on his way to the auto shop, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Limu, let's get out there and help people customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
It's another one of those amazing check opening days. Open it up in front of you.
Now, Mr. Trevor Day, I'd like to move on to him. You say that you were able to observe Mr. Day and Mrs. Wood moving around in the front seat as they were taking a little bit longer than normal to stop the car. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
When you get Mr. Day out of the car and ask him about the odor of marijuana, he tells you, yeah.
Yeah, he was very straightforward with that.
When Miss Wood gets out of the car, she tells you as well, correct?
That is correct, yes.
They tell you where it is in the car, don't they?
They do, yes.
And that's not far from where you said that you found this bag that had other meth residue in it, correct?
That is correct.
So they drew your attention to that area, didn't they?
They did, yes.
And they told you that there were drugs in that area, right?
Correct.
They were talking about marijuana, but they're the ones who told you about it.
Yes, sir.
I like for Mr. Van, based on your observations, why would Mrs. Wood and Mr. Day draw your attention to an area that had something in it extra than what they're already telling you? In other words, why would they be open and honest with you about the marijuana and then just have no information at all about the meth if that wasn't the case?
In their testimony, I believe they said it best whenever they said that they were not aware of what methamphetamine looked like. And Mr. Day testified that his mother had previously owned the car that had a methamphetamine problem. Please understand, when you're in constructive possession of narcotics, whenever you were driving the vehicle, you were in control of every single thing within that vehicle. So, Mr. Williams, there's a very good chance that Mr. Day was unaware of the presence of methamphetamine, but nonetheless, after the vehicle search, it was present.
Why didn't you go find the mom and arrest her if you believed that was true?
Mr. Williams, you are an assistant state attorney. I feel that you should know this. The mom was not in possession of the vehicle at the time. So how could I, in a courtroom, articulate probable cause for the arrest whenever Mr. Day was the registered owner of the vehicle and he was in possession of the vehicle? How could I arrest the mom, sir?
You claim that you believe you understand what constructive possession is? You're aware that it requires the knowledge element. It can't be accidental possession. You know that, don't you? Okay. You just told this jury that if Mr. Day had it on the floor and didn't know it was there, he can be charged with constructive possession. That's not what constructive possession is it?
And Mr. Williams, that is the great thing about the judicial system, and that is a great thing about your job. You were an assistant state attorney. I was a deputy sheriff. All I had to have was probable cause to make an arrest. And then, Mr. Williams, that was, in all due respect, for the state attorney's office to go through the facts of the case to present it to a jury.
Well, the facts, as you understood them at the scene, is you believe that it was accidental possession. That's the way you've just told this jury. That you believed it was accidental, yet you still arrested them for it.
After I read him his Miranda rights, and let me stop, I believe it was after I read him his Miranda rights about the conversation that took place with his mom. I do not have...
This is Diesel for We the People News. I'll holler at you later. Got a phone call. Bye, y'all.